This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Tragedy is a type of drama or literature that shows the downfall or destruction of a noble or outstanding person. Such a character possesses a character weakness known as a tragic flaw. The authors present Macbeth as a brave and noble figure whose downfall is attributable to ambition. After a prediction is made that he will one day become king, Macbeth plots to murder Duncan with the consent of his wife. He kills the guards who discover Duncan's body and becomes king. Unfortunately, the ghost of Banquo eats at Lady Macbeth's conscience until she commits suicide. Finally, Macduff, who had discovered Duncan's body, kills Macbeth and becomes king. Thompson and Bowler point out that the tragic hero, through choice or circumstance, is caught up in a series of events that result in an inevitable disaster. In such a disaster, Aristotle observed that the audience experiences emotional cleansing after identifying with what the protagonist, like Macbeth, goes through. In Oedipus Rex, the ill-fated Oedipus kills his father and engages his mother in an incestuous relationship. Tragedy has undergone development just like other literary genres. Therefore, an analysis of tragedy trends from Sophocles and Euripides to modern times is essential. Aristotle conceived tragedy as the imitation of imperfect men, written dramatically and aimed at arousing pity and fear in the audience to purge their emotions. His definition must have been made with the plays of Euripides and Sophocles in mind, since those plays featured men of noble but imperfect character. As far as form was concerned, Greek tragedy had what he called language made beautiful in different ways, specifically by rendering it poetically and dramatically. Tragedy underwent a remarkable transformation through the ages. As seen above, tragedy initially revolved around the case of a man who fell from happiness to misery, usually to death due to an error. Through time, the determining factors and consequences of such errors evolved remarkably. Montague and Henshlaw demonstrate this change by noting that modern tragedy, for instance, moved away from errors to evil acts as determinants of the protagonist's predicaments. Modern tragedy, the authors note, depicts middle and lower-class protagonists unlike the nobility of ancient times. Protagonists are victims of modern society and do not have errors in judgment, and most importantly, the tragedy is based on issues of domestic and private nature. Shakespeare's plays, for instance, feature ghosts and graveyards. In contrast, later ones like Henrik Ibsen's Doll's House depict an ordinary housewife whose husband makes her disillusioned since he looks down upon her. Further development took place on the side of delivery. Ancient tragedies were enacted in front of audiences, replete with masked men and choruses who narrated all actions. Modern tragedy, on the other hand, found its way into prose and poetry. The verse has, therefore, given place to prose. It can be argued that modern tragedy does not spring from beliefs that are universally held but usually arise from social or personal conditions that vary from society to society. It need not end in death like the ancient Greek, Roman, and English ones, but any downfall resulting from the struggle between the individual and some unalterable conditions of life. Montague and Henshlaw point out that tragedy, in its purest Aristotelian sense, has suffered from the advent of Christianity and the growth of scientific knowledge. This could explain the absence of features such as oracles and ghosts in modern tragedy. Thus, it is not to be misconstrued to mean that writers, since Aristotle, have not been writing tragedy. It is what they have been writing that deviates from traditional versions. That is why the form of ancient tragedy could not be retained. It keeps evolving. If you want to find more works like this essay on the possibilities and perils of modern tragedy, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.